Good night, Guyana. Welcome to our fifth episode of Reparations Now. As always, it's a pleasure being here with you. Tonight in studio, we have with us Sister Pen de Guyane, our mobilization champion. We have our committee chairman and stalwart, Brother Eric Phillips. And we have our wonderful guest, Sister Fatu Bedimo.
That's right.
Did I get it
You
right?
got it right.
And I am Esther Gittins, your host for this evening. In studio, we have Brother Oriston Peters working with our technicians. Tonight, we focus on Ghana. As I think most of you may know, we've just completed a 2-day visit by our Ghanaian president. I won't attempt to call his name now. I will leave that to the experts. But now, as we're focusing on Ghana, we want to bring to you a short video that will help you to be more in touch and feel what we're trying to say to you here tonight. Technicians?
Welcome to Ghana, bustling with life, surging with change and brimming with opportunity. A nation coming alive before our eyes. Discover histories untold and witness the future unfold. Progressive, dynamic and vibrant. This is Ghana. Join us as we explore the heart and soul of Africa's model nation. Meet the people driving this great country forward and feel the pulse of a country with a heart of gold. Cosmopolitan and smart, Ghana is modern Africa. Blessed with abundant natural resources, Ghana is now a thriving modern nation and is setting the tone for Africa tomorrow. Ghana's rich history has also shaped its bright future. Once known as the Gold Coast, in 1957 Ghana became the first sub-Saharan nation to achieve independence through a peaceful campaign led by national hero Kwame Nkrumah. Proud, independent, and with a strong sense of solidarity, the people of Ghana have a driving passion to see their country flourish. With a vibrant and cosmopolitan appeal, Ghana's successful fashion, music and entertainment industries are thriving and bringing a sophisticated taste of Africa to the world.
It's really interesting what's going on in fashion now. There's been a new crop of designers, young designers, more people entering into the field. You have fashion stylists, fashion photographers. Now people are even going more into the technical aspects of stuff, which is, pattern making and so on. We have factories springing up. There's a development, there's a growth of a retail culture on the climate, which is fantastic. And that is the way forward.
The heartbeat of Ghana is the buzzing city of Accra, where business and pleasure come together. As one of Africa's safest, friendliest and most dynamic cities, Accra offers a quality of life unparalleled in the region, boasting excellent shopping, an exciting nightlife and fine dining options. Accra is also home to one of the most prestigious international hotels. In the heart of the city's business and entertainment district is the iconic African Regent Hotel. The stunning African-themed decor and professional staff create an experience not to be missed, making African Regent the place to stay when in Accra for business or pleasure. Ghana is also an exciting tourism destination, and a short trip from Accra can easily lead to an incredible African adventure. From ancient African kingdoms to relics of a colonial past, Ghana's immense cultural diversity is both thrilling and fascinating. Set amidst tropical landscaped gardens and overlooking Accra's most beautiful beach, the Labadi Beach Hotel is a stunning example of Ghanaian hospitality at its best. This is Ghana. Sitting at the corner of the world where the equator and the Greenwich Meridian meet, Ghana's ideal location along the Gulf of Guinea in West Africa has long attracted foreign appeal. If you're here for business, you're not alone. Ghana is one of Africa's fastest growing and most diverse economies.
So what is it actually that is providing us with the facilities and the opportunities to make it work? Well, first, actually, it's the people. You are yourself, as a leader, encouraged and enthused and driven on and picked up when you fall over, but all the time they're with you. And I think that sense of team, that sense of family, is one of the most compelling imperatives in a successful business.
We have a rapidly growing economy. We have an improvement in people's economic status, and that is translating into an increased demand for services.
Ghana is known as a natural resource producing country, gold, cocoa, now oil. But what few people also understand, and that goes to the theme of a diversified economy, is that Ghana's largest sector is actually the services sector.
Recent reforms to streamline the customs and tax structures created the Ghana Revenue Authority, a single unified body on a mission to secure revenue for investing in Ghana's future. With specialist units for emerging sectors, the GRA's agility and expertise allows it to help support and shape Ghana's quickly changing economic landscape.
The modernization we are carrying out is based on making the taxpayer the most important focus of our policies and of our tax efforts.
Innovations like full automation, self-assessment as standard, and a focus on customer care have led to a 17% increase in Ghana's GDP to tax ratio, a major success story.
It's a process that will be continued, because almost always and every point in time we feel a need to modernize our operation and make ourselves more efficient. There's always scope for improvement in whatever we are doing.
The engine of any growing economy is its banks, and Ghana is fortunate to house one of Africa's premier banking sectors. At the forefront is Unibank, a multi-award-winning, wholly Ghanaian-owned bank whose acclaimed CSR program supports Ghana's development and economic agenda.
Our commitment to education is underscored by the projects we have done for key tertiary institutions. These programs are important to us at Unibank because we believe the country's development hinges on education, and being an indigenous bank with full commitment to the society and environment we live in, what best way than to actually do so by investing in it, and we do so happily.
With its high-level private banking and business expertise, Unibank has been bringing in-depth knowledge of the Ghanaian banking sector to its clients for over 13 years. In a challenging global environment, it has bucked the trend, expanding to 32 branches across the nation, while picking up accolades for customer care, advisory services, and IT, to truly become Ghana's local bank. Also leading the way is Zenith Bank Ghana, part of the Zenith Group, now ranked among the world's top 300 banks. Zenith Bank Ghana is one of the biggest banks in Africa, known for innovation, convenience, and great customer care. A host of value-added products are being brought to the Ghanaian marketplace, with Zenith's guarantee of convenience, safety, and security, the gold standard.
Through the innovative product and services today, a lot of people are banking with banks in Ghana, and our products and services in this part of the world compete favorably with what we can obtain in any part of the world. And so today, we are proud to say that we have been the pace setters in the Ghanaian banking industry by ensuring that we give our customers what we think they need to have as far as banking products and services are concerned.
It's not all numbers, though. Zenith's CSR programs are busy encouraging the education of underprivileged children and funneling invaluable talent into the country's blossoming human resource base. With so many thriving businesses, it's no surprise that Ghana is one of Africa's most connected countries. At the head of a vibrant telecom sector is global giant Vodafone, heading up a comprehensive business, consumer and wholesale offering, for both mobile and fixed line services and an extensive fibre optic infrastructure.
We are proud that in terms of quality, we offer the best quality network in the country. And beyond that, we strive to offer in every interaction that we do with our customers the best of the experience.
For home or office, with unparalleled coverage, customer experience and investment capability, Vodafone is both the driving force and the future of Ghana's telecoms revolution. Powering this development is Ghana's emerging energy sector, led by the Ghana Electricity Company. As Ghana grows and expands, GEC is bringing the benefits of growth to all Ghanaians, as well as driving foreign investment and national development by easing the surging demand for electricity. Home to one of the largest oil discoveries in recent history, and with some of the world's best basins, Ghana has also joined the ranks of the world's oil and gas producers. Leading the drive for sustainable exploration, development and production of these immense resources is the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation, established in 1983 and now a major player, with a 30-year track record of professionalism and success.
Everybody wants to come and set up base in Ghana because they see Ghana as a gateway to West Africa, where basically you have 4.5 million barrels being produced a day. If you're looking for a base, there are certain criteria you look for. You look for a base that is stable in terms of security and then also where there's economic growth and where the expats would like to live. And Ghana is the #1 destination. But more importantly, we have opportunities in other areas apart from oil. We have opportunities for all associated businesses surrounding the oil. There's accounting, legal, the tourists and business, so many businesses that can be set up. So Ghana definitely is a destination for investment and is a destination for opportunity.
This is just a flavour of Ghana, a truly 21st century nation where dynamism and aspiration meet natural beauty and the inimitable warmth of the Ghanaian people. For our last stop, let's take a moment at the Monticello Boutique Hotel, an exclusive retreat to charm the most discerning traveller. 16 suites blend style and sophistication with luxurious amenities and the personal touch. A true home away from home. Dynamic, aspirational and enterprising, Ghana will greet you with a smile.
If you haven't visited us yet, you really should, because you're missing something. We're always ready to work with you and to welcome you.
This is Ghana.
A flavor of Ghana, Guyana, sounds familiar. And Ghana is also the home of many African Guyanese descendants. Ghana was also the home of our greatest hero, Kofi. Sister Penda, I know our audience is waiting for you with your Do You Know?
Do you know?
So lay it on.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. I'm so happy to be coming into your home. As you know, we've recently had a visit of His Excellency Nana Addo Dwanka Addo Akufo-Addo, and he is the President of the Republic of Ghana. Now, we have been graced with his presence by our President, His Excellency Brigadier David Arthur Granger, President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. Now, I must say that I was very happy when the President of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo, made reference, one, at the luncheon that was given by our President, and at that luncheon he stated how proud he was to know that our first revolutionary hero, Kofi, came from Ghana and he was a Khan. Now, at the reception that His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo hosted for his Ghanaian nationals here in this country, he again reiterated the significance and importance of our first revolutionary warrior, who we like to call King or Governor Kofi. And I must say that at the laying of the wreath at the 763 monument, the president paid great homage to the statue or the monument of, again, Kofi. So in honor of the President of Ghana, His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo, I am today placing all my questions of the do you know on Ghana, specifically the Akan. Instead of saying tribe, I like to say nation. So please get your pens and paper out, and here we go. What is the collective name of mainly Akan warriors and others of the Ashanti, Fante, etc., kidnapped from the Gold Coast or modern-day Ghana and held in forced labor camps called plantations? Well, I'm not on the program that you are allowed a lot of time, so I better give the answer. The collective name is Karamanti. The name is derived from the name of the Ghanaian coastal tongue, Cormansi. The name was primarily used in the Caribbean. Coromantins actually came from several Akan ethnic groups. As I mentioned earlier, they are the Ashanti, Fante, Akeam. If I'm saying it wrong, we have our guest today that will correct me later. Next question. Why were they so successful in organizing the many rebellions? Answer. Brother Eric, do you know why?
No, I'm waiting to hear.
The answer, they were successful in organizing the rebellions because they spoke the same Akan language. Do you know the names of notable Koromanti leaders in the Caribbean? The Akan names are Kojo, Kwamin, Kofi, and Kwamina, which correspond to the Akan names Kojo, Kwame, Kofi, and Kwamina respectively. Do you know that due to the forced rebellious nature of the indigenous African called Akan and their notorious reputation among the white plantation owners, that in the 18th century an act was proposed to ban the importation of kidnapped indigenous Africans from the Gold Coast, despite their reputation as strong workers? Furthermore, please take special note of the following. Edward Long, an 18th century white Jamaican colonist who strongly advocating banning Coromantins, noted that this unity among the Akan groups played an important role in organizing plots and rebellions despite the geographical dispersion of the Coromantis across different plantations. The operative word here is unity. Next question. Do you know what is one of the reasons why our youths today are disconnected from us culturally? Answer. Because we did not transmit the culture of our grandparents which was the Akan culture. Our grandparents still had an understanding of the Coromantese or Akan culture. We were able to say this because, like the Akan, they organized the cooperative, the ERIC, the mutual aid society, the burial group, and places to enjoy social entertainment, for example, the community centers. Now, do you know that in the 17th century, Akan states were not all the same? They were approximately 40 different groups, but they did share a common political language, mythology, such as there being a single powerful god, Niami, and the Anansi stories. These Anansi stories were known by our grandparents as Anansi, Anansi Drew, or Bear Rabbit stories. And finally, do you know what was responsible for the successes of the Akan organizing in Guyana and the Caribbean? Brother Eric, Sister Fatu, do you know why?
The drums.
Okay, the answer is unity of spirituality, unity of language, unity of culture, myths, folklore, and mores, which is in the final analysis translates as unity of purpose. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe.
Wow. Sister Pamela, you blew me away.
I blow you away?
Yeah, you blew me away with that. All right, at this time, I'll introduce to you our beautiful, smiling Ghanaian guest, Sister Fatu Bredima. Did I get it right?
Got it right.
All right. I'm told you've been in the energy governance expert for over 30 years, working with international organizations such as the World Bank, IMF, UNICEF, UNDP, and you were also here in Guyana for 23 years.
Not
Is
really.
that true?
That's very interesting.
That's interesting. You've been here for
I've been in
8
Guyana
years.
for 8 years,
8
over a period
years.
of 23 years.
Okay,
Yes.
all right, thank you.
And
You're
I've been
also
in
the-
energy for 4 years.
4 years.
But with the UN international organizations for over 30 years.
Okay, all right. You're also the CEO of Guyana Global Consulting Group.
That's right.
Okay, well, we know President Nana Akufo-Addo was here. You were very active moving around with him. We were gifted, many of us were gifted with this little booklet called the Year of Return to Ghana. Could you tell us a bit more about that?
Okay. So I'm very happy to be here to talk about the Year of Return. Incidentally, when I came back to Guyana last year in October, the first thing I did was to set up a Facebook page called African Yam 2019. And the whole purpose was to gradually introduce Ghana all over again and the Year of Return to the Guyanese population. So the Year of Return started as a very big movement being propelled by the President of Ghana, Addo Akufo-Addo, to have a very significant thing happen in 2019 because it marks 400 years since the first enslaved Africans were taken from the coast of West Africa into the Americas. And so over the years, we've been having waves of Africans being taken from the continent and into the Americas. And as much as slavery has ended, there still is a lot of divide and disconnect. And 400 years was enough for someone who's a Pan-Africanist like Addo to say, it's enough of the separation. I think we should now look at how do we reconnect as African people in the diaspora as well. So Ghana was very instrumental in getting the UN General Assembly to name this year, 2019, as a year of return. And we got a lot of support from Africans in the U.S., African Americans, as well as in the Caribbean. So this year is a year of return. And what it means is that Ghana is the first point of contact or landing place, mainly because the castle, Elmina Castle, which technically is a slave dungeon, was where most of the slaves were taken from along the West African side of the western side of the continent. They normally would pick up enslaved Africans from along the coast and then have them in one location, which is the Elmina Castle. So as much as we do have a lot of Ghanaian people who are originally from that area being taken into slavery, you still had a lot of Africans from other parts of Africa assembling at Elmina Castle and taken. So it is very poignant. It's the largest slave castle in Africa, actually. So it's very instrumental that people return to Africa and return to that castle where, you know, everything kind of began. All right. It's about making sure that we are connected to each other, because no matter what happens, as much as we are removed from each other, we'll find out that we are still similar. We're still the same. Incidentally, when we organized that town hall meeting at the Marriott, where the president met with African Guyanese as well as Africans, one of the delegates came to me and said, Fatou, I want to have all the Ghanaians and the Africans sit in one place, and then we'll have the rest, the Afro-Guyanese sit somewhere else. And I smiled and I said, Ghana is Guyana and Guyana is Ghana. You can't see the difference, and it makes no difference. So we abandoned that idea. But there's a lot of grounding that needs to take place. We need to know more about our African roots. Even Africans themselves do not know.
Sure.
When we talk about our culture, because of colonization, most of our culture and our history is still foreign, all right, to us. We really never delved deeply into who we are, what our destinies are, because with education, which is primarily Western, we didn't look into ourselves. It was actually not encouraged. Most of our schools were missionary schools, Catholic Methodist schools, that promoted, Western religion. And so it was actually even frowned upon to even do your own cultural dance, or, your own rites, or to even play drums in church. It's only now that most of these churches are losing members due to just the strength of the African culture, because now many churches are playing drums, beating drums. And so they want their rhythm. And if you want a congregation, a church full of people, then you have to loosen up. So now it's okay you will go to Catholic churches and hear people playing, beating the drums. So we ourselves need to know about our own culture. And I think it's also great that the exchange is happening now, where Ghanaians are traveling abroad and we have to come to the Caribbean. Normally when I tell people in Ghana or Liberia I'm going to Guyana, they keep on wondering, where is that? Do you feel strange? How can you just get up and go to a strange country? And I say Guyana is not as strange as you think it is, because I'm eating the same foods, interacting with the same people. Actually, I'm interacting with people who know more about Ghana than, your average Ghanaian would know. So I think for me, I am at home. So we're looking at trade as well. We're looking at education. We're looking at investments. We're looking at ways in which we can develop each other in different ways, a complementary kind of exchange, so that we can be stronger as a people. As you already know, Guyana already is very strong with Susu clubs. And if you think about Susu, the definition of Susu is ingenuity. It also means joining together and become stronger for any kind of endeavor that you want to achieve. So it's like the broom. A Susu is putting all the sticks together in one broom to be able to sweep or do whatever you want to do with it. It's the same thing in Ghana. It's the same thing, where Susu means the same thing. Use your ingenuity to advance yourself. And it's only through the collective that we can actually be very strong. So the year of return, There are lots of programs, being organized throughout the year. It started in January. But one of the few things I want to talk about, which I think is culturally significant, is an event which happens, I think it happens in July, where there's the bath, the return to Ghana. And so for people of African descent from the diaspora, there's a ritual that will occur where you will take that bath of return, and then there will be a naming ceremony. I think that's very critical, very important. And I think what is also very exciting about the Year of Return is that it's now an opportunity for Africans in the diaspora to even start processing citizenship in Ghana, for instance. So that, for me, it's very significant that you now have more options for livelihood. I see it as, if you get an opportunity to live in another country without being seen as a foreigner, in addition to being in your own country, I think it's a plus. And so those are areas that I think are extremely exciting for the Year of Return. I think Guyana itself is working on a tour to Ghana, and we're looking at ways in which we can make it extremely memorable, all right, spiritually memorable for the group that's going. So the Year of Return, December, for instance, apart from emancipation activities, which will occur in August, in December you have a whole host of Africans in the diaspora who are extremely successful, either through music or art or through films, through entrepreneurship. And they're going to be in Ghana from the 24th to the 7th of January. You're going to have Boris Kojo, who has Ghanaian roots, Naomi Campbell, a lot of other African, I'm showing my age, a lot of African American stars who are going to be going. Naomi Campbell. That should tell you my age, So it's going to be very exciting times, and I'm hoping that folks from Guyana, even if it's a small group, can go this year, and then every year we can look at ways in which we can make it stronger and very culturally memorable.
Yes, well, I must say I felt elated when I heard about the Year of Return to Ghana for the first time, and all the welcome and the open door that came with it, because it showed too Ghana is now come on board, and Dr. Yates will point out about the number 11 president, Ado being the 11th president. It recalls me to Haile Selassie, who offered 500 acres of Ethiopia and invited Africans in the diaspora to return. But even though he did that, Ethiopians generally have not been so welcome to persons returning. So I think indeed Ghana is really taking it a step further. Brother Eric, how would you link reparations and Ghana?
Well, first of all, let me welcome Sister Fatu here. I've met her before. We've had discussions about oil, and I hope that very soon she becomes a critical link between us and Ghana, as the Ghanaian president indicated that they're hoping to help us in the field of oil. So many thoughts. First of all, the president of Ghana visiting here is very significant. He visited 5 countries, with Ghana being the first stop. And so that in itself tells me that he has a special place in his heart for Guyana. And indeed, most of our heroes are from Ghana. I've been to Ghana 9 times when I was managing director of Africa and the Middle East, in the year when P.V. Obeng was the vice president and President Rawlings was there, and so I know the welcome. And I kept telling people that when you go to Ghana, you see yourself walking down the street. You eat fufu. But the film was very, very important in that it gave a better kaleidoscope of what's going on in Ghana. From a reparations point of view, there are 2 elements to reparations. We focus often on the financial part, the land, the money, etc. But that's not as critical, is very important, but not as critical as the spiritual reparations, where we bridge back to our culture. We've lost so much. We are a lost people, as Eddie Grant would say, because we're culturally disconnected from our roots. The music, the way we treat each other, the spirituality of Ghana, in Africa, that we've lost. I'm glad that Fatu was indicating that now the churches in Ghana are playing drums, which were taboo even in Guyana a long time ago, and taboo even today in churches, even though some are playing the steel band. But for us, reparations means that Africa is our home. Ghana has raised its hand and said, we are the first country to welcome you back categorically. We'll give you citizenship. We've signed some agreements with them that would facilitate that, and I hope that 400 to 500 Guyanese will make that trip, because when you go to Ghana, you're transformed. When I went there, I felt stronger. I got more self-esteem because I saw people like me running everything and doing it in a way that is just as successful as any other place. By the way, Ghana has been voted as the most peaceful country in Africa. And as I looked at the film, it made me realize that we in Guyana have a model, African Guyanese, as well as all other Guyanese, a model of development. Ghana has oil, we have oil. They've had it for quite a while, and I think in a couple of years, they're going to be producing 200,000 barrels a year and receiving about $1.6 billion. We're going to possibly produce up to 750,000 barrels. So from a reparations point of view, I think I'm hoping that Guyanese who've seen the show and saw the film will understand that home is Ghana, that we are from Africa. We're also Guyanese. I don't want to get into the dual citizenship issue. But we are African. I often tell my Indo-Guyanese friends who say to me, why are you emphasizing being African? And I say to them, when you jump on a plane and you go to any other part in the world, they see me as African. They don't see me as Guyanese because they don't know where I'm from.
True.
But they see me as an African, and that is a reality. I'm African and I'm Guyanese.
True.
And the two are a wonderful mix. So I'm hoping that the Guyana Reparations Committee will continue to bring to Guyana facts and information about Ghana and other African countries. You know, about 4 months ago, we decided to stop showing the pessimistic view of Africa, because Africa, it's 54 countries, it's beautiful. In Ghana, even though the official language is English, they speak about 30 other languages. And you see the similarities. I mean, it's not by coincidence that when we were liberated in emancipation, African Guyanese went into the gold fields. It's in our DNA from Ghana.
True.
And you saw the fighting spirit in Kofi. I mean, there's Busa in Barbados. And by the way, the black star on the Ghanaian flag came from Marcus Garvey, his United Negro, group.
Okay.
So Ghana is the centerpiece of our spiritual, cultural, emotional, and probably financial reparations.
Great. You know what struck me when Sister Fatu was talking just now? When you said a lot of Ghanaians don't even know their history, and sometimes a lot of us here know more about Ghana than those who are there. I saw another similarity with Ethiopia, because Haile Selassie's grandson came to the Caribbean, and he was overwhelmed by the amount of information that was coming, because there were persons gathered from every Caribbean country in Jamaica to welcome him. And he was overwhelmed by the amount of facts and the intimacy that exuded from us about Haile Selassie, that he broke down in tears, and he confessed that we will make him go back and study more about his grandfather. So it proves that's not a unique case. It may be happening with quite a lot of other countries. Sister Pendle, let's hear your opinion on the year of return.
Well, first of all, picking up on what Brother Eric said about his friends wanting to know why he's stressing on him being African. I think it's wonderful that he's stressing this because we don't do it enough. I mean, the same persons that are asking him, they never consider themselves anything other than Indians, right? Your Indo friends, even though they've never seen India, many of them. So it's the same thing. We came from Africa, our foreparents, therefore we are Africans, right? But more importantly, touching on what Brother Eric was saying about our warriors and, you know, being mainly Akan, because if you go to Jamaica and these places, you have people like Kojo and the different, you know. But the important thing is that we here, many of us see ourselves as ethnic Ghanaians because of the link. As Sister says, Guyana is Ghana, Ghana is Guyana. And I think His Excellency was very happy when he said that at the luncheon, he saw fufu, kanki. We say kanki, but it's kenke, right? And all the other things. And it is true. We have so much similarities. Now, with the year of the return, I am so happy because it is long overdue. Because of our connection, because of our culture, we need to be able to have that accessibility where we can go easily, readily. We need to be able to see for ourselves. There's not, I mean, you can read all you want. Nothing has the impact as when you are there physically to see something. So I think it's important that we go. I think it's important, especially as Sister was speaking about Elmino. I think it's important that people have that experience. You need to see the sufferings. You need to know what transpired. And then it, as Brother Eric says, you feel completely different. You are a different person. You are in touch with your ancestors. You are in touch with your roots. You know that this is the struggle. This is what happened. This was the place of no return for us, you know? And here we are able to come back and see what they went through. Here we are able to be a part of our original culture. And it is very important. And also from the spiritual aspect, the cultural aspect. I mean, there's so many things. The naming ceremony that Sister spoke about is so important. You know, we are carrying the plantation owners' names, many people. You know, the names of, you know, Charles and Booker and you know, all these different things. But when you go and you have your spiritual name, it means something. A name has a meaning. You know, Kofi meant he who is born on a Friday. You know, I'm sure if you ask Sister her name, she'll tell you what it means. It has a meaning. It's not some abstraction. It is it's real. So these are the sort of things. Sister and I spoke some time back. You have the outdooring. When you take the baby out for the first time, those are rituals that are done that we need to start hanging on to. Because we did it here, you know, not as sophisticated, but it is, you know, it has not been passed on enough. So we need to revitalize these rituals. The coming of age for our young girls, the coming of, you know, the initiation processes for the boys, the girls, all these things. So we really, I mean, I am so happy. And I'm hoping that, having said all that, I'm hoping that as soon as possible, we'll be able to make those direct trips.
Yes.
So that it'll be so affordable
for that, too.
that every person, if they want to, they can put up the little pennies in the susu.
Yes,
that's right.
Yes, and
That's
instead
right.
of taking a loan for
for carnival, right?
Exactly.
We could take a go to return to Ghana
Exactly.
loan.
We can
Yes.
do the susu and make sure that we get
And
there.
sadly enough, Carnival was the name of a slave ship.
Oh wow.
Yes,
All
it
right.
was.
Yes.
But I wanted to actually
Yes.
speak to what Sister Pendas
Yes.
spoke about briefly in terms of the naming ceremony. The bath is really just to wash away all the dirt, all right, what we consider the dirt, to cleanse you. It's like a post-traumatic stress cleansing of all the ills, of all the bad luck, of all the bad things that's happened to you, your generation. So it's a symbolic cleanse.
Yes.
And then typically when we are naming kids, the name Kofi, the week, we call them week names. You give your child, when your child is initially born, you have to observe the child for a while before you give the child a name. So, and that happens a week after birth. So while you're waiting to name your child, you have to give the child a name of the week, a day name, to help you along the way until you observe the child for a week to determine the child's personality.
Okay.
So we have the week names. So I'm a Saturday born, I'm Ama. So that's, the boy will be Kwame. So if you hear Kwamina, is the Fanti way of calling Kwame. All right.
Okay.
And then the Ewe way is Komla. So there are different ways of pronouncing it, but it's the same thing. Then we're talking about outdooring of a child. One of the traditions is that you name the child just at dawn before the light comes, because you don't want evil to take the child away. So you have the outdooring ceremony before dawn, just before dawn. Let's say about 4 o'clock in the morning. That's when you name your child.
Okay.
Then you talk about what happens initiation, youth for women and girls. When girls are being initiated, we do it with a lot of beads. So you will notice I do a lot of bead classes.
Yeah.
And I train people to use beads because beads have great significance for Ghanaians or West Africans in general. And so, for instance, when a baby is born, if it's a girl, she will have a string of beads around her waist. But as she gets older, initiation, she can wear tons of beads, which you use either if she's a princess, she will have more expensive beads, or if she's being initiated, she will wear beads around her waist, could be 15, 20 beads. Beads originally for the waist were used to hold your underwear. All right, so that was your traditional underwear. But then there's significance to beads for girls coming of age, because when you are going to get married, the only person who can see your beads will be the person you're going to get married to. And African men in general, once they marry a woman, he's the only person who's supposed to see the woman's beads. All right, but when she's being initiated, they we have an initiation ceremony. They will see the beads, and it's based on the choice of colors for the girl or the young woman that will attract her to the male. So if he sees her with very bright colors, it tells him something. And if he's interested in someone who's bright, all right, or colorful, then he'll say, this girl is somebody that is interesting to me because she's a little bit avant-garde, a little daredevil. All right, so you can tell from the kind of beads the girls wear who is your match. Okay. And it's from that you will send a message to her family and say, I'm interested in marrying your daughter. Okay. All right. So you have all those things of significance. But I think also in the initiation, we are trained to be women, we're trained to be men. And there's 7 things that you will learn about how to be a woman, how to handle a man, how to get your way without being confrontational with your husband. The woman will always be the queen of the home. All right. And how do you know when to get good answers from your partner and when not to ask him questions? Then some of those things have been eroded with westernization. All right. And when we talk about women's lib, I am all for women's empowerment, but I think it's important that women know men and men know women spiritually. And that way you can learn to gel. in the home. But we always say you can't have two masters in the home. So one has to be a champion of soft skills. I'll say the woman is a champion of soft skills, and the man is a champion of earning power, as well as being an authority figure in the home. Because you'll know that if your father is your father, there's certain things you can't do. There are many things I had to hide from my dad because my dad was a lion. We used to call him the lion of the home. You know, so you can't take certain chances with him because he will definitely show himself. You know, so we have to get men to become men. All right? And I think the year of return is also an opportunity for us to learn what it is to be a man. Because westernization has really gotten us in a tizzy.
Disconnected.
We really don't know what we're doing as males or females. And even women, you would tell that even when you're choosing your partner, you choose the strongest male. And it's not just a physical strength you're looking at. You're also looking at a man's spiritual strength.
True.
You know, so those are some of the things that I think just the year of return and the activities that we're going to have both ways are going to strengthen ourselves as Africans.
True.
So I just wanted to add a little bit to that just for you too. But on the issue of African hospitality or Ghanaian hospitality, I think what really makes Ghana really unique compared to any other African country. I think when you're watching the documentary, there was this business guy, this European, who was talking about how he feels his staff are part of him, are part of his family. And I think that is extremely unique to Ghana. I've worked in 10 countries. Most of them were African countries, but that really stands out. That the Ghanaian, so long as he knows that he's not being taken advantage of, will be with you, even if you have nothing. Once they know your heart, and you've shown it once or twice, they will be with you. You know, so I think those are some of the things that, even here in Guyana, I think there are still elements of that. The hospitality is there. People go out of their way, even if they have nothing, to share with you. And I think it's something that we have to...
It's in our DNA.
Exactly. You know, we need to develop it more and strengthen it. So
yes. I know even though in the year of return, the word reparations is not being attached, just the mere fact that we have a year of return, it speaks to reparation. Could you tell us a bit about the reparations movement in Ghana?
All right. So I think for Africans, I'm not sure whether there's any real discussion on reparations from the financial standpoint, but I feel that what the realization with the information that's coming out from slavery is that we lost people. Africa lost its human capital. All right, and it's still losing its human capital because people, due to poor leadership, I would say, people are still leaving Africa and working in Western countries and developing them. So we have to take another look at ourselves and see how are we doing this and why are we doing it? And we have to look at things differently and do things differently. I think in terms of giving back, I think the apologies that are coming from different African countries for their involvement in slavery, it's in order, it should continue. I think the exchange of knowledge, the exchange of ideas, the giving out of citizenship and access to land and access to join an economy are all forms of intangible reparations that I think should continue. When I'm in a taxi in Guyana and somebody, because normally I wear African all the time, say, oh my God, you're African. What part of Africa are you from? And I'll say Georgetown, just for a joke, just as a joke. And they'll say, you really from Guyana? I said, no, I'm joking. Come on now. But the fact is, when an African Guyanese sees me and says, you're African, and I see all the African Guyanese women wearing their head wraps and all that, and I see them as African sisters, I find it a little bit weird, to be called African woman. But I think it's important for us to embrace our Africanness.
Yes.
And to wear whatever we wear with pride. It's not just distinguishing ourselves. It's economics.
Yes.
Because
indeed,
spend with your friends.
I'm spending on someone who is making these things who's African.
Yes. Indeed.
All right. So we have our cultural icons and artifacts that have economic value.
True.
And we need to further develop them and take them to a different level so that we can empower ourselves not only culturally, but financially, economically. as
Yes,
well.
you know, one of our academians here pointed out that a lot of times, because she was trying to say that we wearing these prints, they're not original Africa. But I feel good because when I wear my print, I know I made it myself, or a sister or somebody close to me made it, even though the fabric didn't come actually from Africa. And the first thing when people see me, they see Africa, and they do call us, I sure Sister Penda, get the same thing. They call us African. They want to know which part of Africa we come from. And they only know when we speak because we don't have the accent.
Right.
So I feel good wearing my African print, even though it might not come from Africa. I see as long as I put my finger on it, it becomes authentic right away. So our technician has just signaled.
Well, we
We
need to
have
go to
a-
Ghana, where is the largest open market.
Yes, we do.
Kumasi.
Kumasi.
We do. Kumasi.
Oh, I needed to ask, do you know Black Rasta?
Wow. Yes, like I'm supposed to know Mr. White in South
He,
Africa.
he was here a couple years ago.
He was here. He's an artist.
Okay.
Yeah.
Similar to Eddie Grant. And he said the story from the part of Ghana that he came from is that the brains of Africa came to the West Indies. That's his story. So he's saying we're needed there to help to rebuild Africa.
Absolutely.
Brother Eric, let's hear your closing thoughts.
Well, in closing, we're not just looking at the cultural sinking. We're looking at economic reciprocity. So whilst the delegation was here with the president and the group that came 2 weeks earlier, we're speaking with them about banking, about construction, about entrepreneurship, about investment, about education. So all of that is happening, and it's all part of the reparation.
Good. Sister Penda, let's hear you.
I just want to say how happy I am to have Sister with us today. And yes, indeed, I'm really happy that His Excellency was here. And I think it's the best thing that could have happened to us in this country at this time.
Yes.
And I'm looking forward to close relationships with Ghana.
Indeed. You know, I've met Sister Fatu at many activities, but give thanks to Reparations and the visit of President Abdu, we got to get closer, and I hope we will get closer as time goes by. Well, you know, we're on our final few minutes of our program. I must say to you or remind you that this program comes to you compliments of the Ministry of Presidency, Department of Social Cohesion. Remember to attend our Thursday meetings. Every Thursday, the Museum of African Heritage. Meeting begins at 5:30. Look for our youth program, IKEMBA, Youth for Reparation, every second Thursday, right here on NCN 11. And look for us also every fourth Sunday of the month at 7:05. With that, let us all say Reparations now.